just want to like take a nap with them. Welcome to the studio. Come on in. Welcome to the studio. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Linda.
And if you love working with colorful yarn and you love nature and learning new things, you are in the right place. This is Color Me Happy Fiber Art Studio, and we are natural dyers and fiber enthusiasts of all kinds. Primarily knitting, I would say, is the main thing, but we also do crochet.
You spin?
I spin when I can. I've been spinning a lot lately, so I can talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah. So what are you excited about at the moment, Michelle?
Well,
As if I don't know.
I'm mostly exhausted because we got our new puppy, Josie, and I will put in some picture here. And she is just delightful, but I hadn't realized how much. I mean, you told me it would be a lot of work,
I did tell you it would be a lot of work.
but it's like really having a kid again, and a toddler
A
in a way.
toddler, yeah, I
Because
agree.
she doesn't sleep as often as she should during the day. And when she is asleep, if we get up and do anything, she's like ready.
She's a little unpredictable.
Yeah. You can't leave her alone for a minute because she could get into trouble or pee somewhere. She is getting pretty good about
That's the
letting
thing.
us
They
know.
do grow up fast, as the saying goes.
Yeah. So she is sleeping through the night, and that after, I think it was the third night, she started sleeping through the night.
That's great.
So that is much better. But it has been a lot of fun and exhausting.
And exhausting.
Yeah.
And it's been usually, I know you tend to like come out to the studio and you just get more and more into what you're doing, and you end up spending all these hours dyeing things in the studio. So how does that feel? It's put a little crimp in your style there.
I know, I can't come out here for very long. That last week when Sarah was here, our yarn fairy who helps with a lot of the washing and stuff, and she is a big puppy enthusiast. She loved Josie and Josie loved her. So we set up her little playpen area right in the studio, away from the yarn, away from the dye materials. I gave her a little bone, and she was totally happy until I went into the other room to start winding the yarn. And next thing I know, she has climbed the fence. And it's like 3 feet tall, and she's this big.
Well, that separation anxiety is real.
I know. So I put her back in, and she did it again. So I realized she's not going to be a studio puppy until she's a little older.
Until she's a little older.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So how about you? What are you excited about?
I am excited about and when this show comes out, we will be in Ann Arbor for our first time attending the Fiber Expo in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So that's going to be really fun. It's always fun to go to a new place and sort of meet the fiber enthusiasts in a new area. That's always really fun. It's always energizing to go to a fiber festival for us because we're just around everyone who loves the same thing, and you get into all your nerdy corners of talking about what you love, and that's always fun. And one of the nerdy things I like to do is I always sort of set up our booth layout ahead of time so we know what we're going to take, and are we taking everything? Are we only taking some things? And we have a double booth at the Fiber Expo. So I have made a handy dandy 2-scale 20 by 10 layout, and then in pencil we write what we're going to put where. So that helps us know, what equipment do we need to take, what yarn are we taking, even to some extent, like what samples are we taking. And you can see behind us, a new thing, which I'm excited about for the festival, is we got it's a photography background. Now, my husband, who's an architect, says, oh, it's pipe and drape. Like, I guess that's the name for it,
That's
pipe
what
and
it's
drape.
called. Okay.
So it's
A pipe.
collapsible like pipes, and we got some curtains. So that's the first time we'll have had a nice solid background for our booth, which then lets us hang some of our samples from the top, like you can see right up there.
Yeah.
So that's really fun. I like that part for me, that's a creative part of what we
Yeah.
do, figuring out the layout and where things going to go. And so I have been enjoying that. I like thinking about that.
Yeah. I like that you like thinking about that too, because that's one less thing.
It's good that one of us likes to
Yeah.
think about it.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, I got my
Oh,
Suri all mixed up here.
Oh,
All
you
right.
did? Okay.
Yeah, but
Well,
I'm
speaking
okay.
of Suri, we've been dyeing a lot of Suri.
Yes, I went on sort of a kick, well, with the kimono cardigan
Right.
and well, even what I'm
That, yeah,
wearing.
that's
This is the striation scarf by Amba O'Brien, and this has one skein of Suri in it with mini skeins. Um,
I intend to make one of those for my personal use, not as a shop sample, because
oh yeah,
it's so light
it
and
is. It's
you can just pick
really
5 minis of the colors that you like. It's really nice. I have that on my queue on Ravelry because I think it's a really, really pretty and versatile
it
shawl.
is, and it was a dream to knit it. I love the Suri because it is so light and fluffy, so
Mm-hmm.
it's a fun experience, sensual
Mm-hmm.
experience in your hands when you're using it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's warm, but it's light, so
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like you're, weighed down
Right.
or whatever. So I've been doing a lot of Suri, and
So we've been dyeing like sets of 4
yeah,
of different colors
of different
Suri.
colors.
That way, if somebody wants to knit the kimono cardigan and use our Suri, they can easily find
yeah,
a
you
set
could
that they
have a
like.
set that would be
Mhm.
enough for a sweater or something. For our what's in our dye pots, I was going to focus on the Suri too, because one thing I started playing around with is thinking about color theory and how to deepen some of our colors. And
Mhm.
so if a color is very hue, the what we think of as the color part
Right.
of color,
Right.
when it's saturated, it's a very intense version of a color
Mhm.
or a hue. And if you add the opposite or a contrast color to it, if you add a lot, it makes it more in the gray or brown family. But if you add just a little bit, it just kind of deepens it and makes it more of a shade, I guess. Technically, if you add black to a color, it makes it a shade.
And it really it keeps the colors from being so one note.
Yeah,
Sometimes a color is nice, but it has this aspect where it's one note. It doesn't have any complexity or depth, maybe is another word, I think
yeah,
is what you're getting at.
yeah, a little more nuance.
Mhm.
So I took Kutch as kind of a brownish natural dye that comes from a tree.
Mhm.
Is it in the Caribbean?
I feel like it's in the Caribbean.
I am not sure. We will look that up and put some notes down below.
And it has some tannins in it.
It has
right?
tannins.
So that's good because it helps with light fastness.
Right, and gives, there's gallic tannins that are more clear, right? And then there's yellow tannins.
But the Kutch is a little yellowish brown kind
Yeah.
of tannin.
So I wanted to see what would happen if I add about 3% of Kutch to everything for a while. So this is Kutch by itself, which is kind of a nice taupey color.
Why 3%? How did you arrive at that?
I didn't want it to be really dark.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Why did I pick 3%? I think because, well, the first time I did
We
it,
have some other recipes where we've added kutch, so probably we had a sense of like,
no, it was this.
okay.
Okay. So this is lac by itself, which makes a pretty pink on the Suri. And this is 3% lac. So it's kind of a light raspberry-ish color. And I thought I wanted to try to get something in the cinnamon family. And so I thought, well, if I add kutch to it, I'll make it an equal amount. So 3% kutch, 3% lac. And it didn't come out cinnamon, but it came out more of a deeper shade.
Almost,
Yeah, we haven't named it yet.
yeah, it's kind of rosy.
Yeah.
It's kind of, in a way, it reminds me of shades you get with madder, which also has the brown
The brownish.
and the
yeah.
red.
Yeah. And so brown is a mix of kind of red and green you can think of. And so adding it to this just kind of tones it down a little bit. So that was the 3%.
Okay.
So I did this first. It didn't come out as cinnamon, but I thought, well, let's do some experimenting by adding this kutch to different colors and see what we get. And it should be a nice palette together because they would have something together.
Let's share that, yeah.
Right. So I also wanted to show 3% kutch by itself, 3% lac. So basically this
Here, I'll help you
plus
hold.
this equals this.
There you go.
Yeah. And it's kind of cool to think of it like that.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So then I put 3% kutch in madder, and madder by
I'll
itself.
hold the 3% kutch. How about that?
Okay, yeah. I don't have a madder by itself. There's one over there, but it's more peach, and this is like a deeper brownier
So that's the
peach.
madder plus the kutch. Okay.
Right. And then I did myrobalan, which is yellow. And so this would have been a brighter yellow, but here it's more of a creamy color. And then the exhaust of that is this beautiful light
That's
shade.
a nice, really nice, like
Isn't that great?
warm ivory color.
Yeah. I just love all these colors. Don't you just want to like take a nap with them?
Well, you know, not that you need to make another kimono cardigan,
Yeah.
but you could make like a rainbow one.
Oh, a stripy one.
Yeah.
So,
She has a version of the pattern that uses 3 colors,
right.
but it could be interesting if your background silk was neutral and then you just striped
Change
with the
the
suri.
Suri. Ooh. That's an idea.
Just an idea.
That is an idea. The other thing I was going to do, now that we're talking about, this is maybe future plans that I've been
Okay.
thinking about. So on the last show, I showed some swatching that I was doing for the kimono cardigan and whether it should be
Oh, right.
the pink or that green.
The green.
And most people suggested the pink was better around my face. It looked better on me. But the green, like knitting with the green makes me happy, you know, so I've been not sure, and I thought I wanted to come back to the studio and see some other pinks with it to see if I did that soft pink by my face and maybe a darker pink down
Darker,
at the bottom. Well, in the meantime,
Oh, no.
Danny released a new sweater called
I love that sweater.
the 5 o'clock.
Oh, no.
Oh, another sweater you
I
saw?
love the college.
Oh, the college one. Oh, yeah.
That is such a nice sweater. I
Yeah.
definitely want to knit that.
That one I think is still being test knit.
Oh, I think it might be out now.
Really?
I think so. I think I saw an Instagram post that said that it's available.
I'll have to check because I thought it was the other one, the 5 o'clock sweater,
Okay.
which has a little bit of a neck and then like ribbing on the sleeves, but stockinette.
Okay.
And she mixed some Suri. She's made several of the sweaters. And that's one thing that's fun about her patterns is that she has made the sweater like 4 times before it comes out.
I
And so
do
you
think
see
that's
it.
really nice. You see it in different yarns and
Yeah, different
different
yarns, different
colors,
colors.
maybe a striped version. That is
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. So it's really cool. But it has that marling effect that I like where you hold two things together, the Suri and something else. And I thought that pink color would be really pretty, maybe in that kind of sweater. So
That
when
is
I
true.
saw that come out, I thought maybe I'll be doing that one next.
So maybe you won't do the green
Right.
kimono cardigan.
Yeah. I'm still thinking. I know there will be another kimono cardigan. But now I'm kind of excited about that
Yeah.
5 o'clock one.
It's
And I
hard.
definitely want
Like
to do
life
the
is
college
short and
one.
it's hard. There's like so many nice patterns and
I know. How do you pick?
I think in
Which
some
one?
ways this is one thing I really like about Ravelry because you may have a different way of organizing it, but if I really like something and I think I really want to make that and I have some ideas already about the yarn, I will go ahead and put it in my queue. I might not have purchased the pattern yet, but
Yeah.
like I'll put it in there. Those are the ones like I know I'm really interested in. And then it's kind of like what they tell you about shopping. Like don't buy it right away and wait and in another couple of weeks still see if you're really excited about it.
Yeah.
That I think is a good way for me anyway to decide not whether I like a pattern because I like them all, but like what am I going to spend my time working on? Because you can't work on everything that you are interested in. There's too much.
Yeah. That's a good idea. So it's funny that you shared that because just yesterday I watched Always in Stitches has a new podcast.
Yeah, that's a
Focused-
local quilt, fabric and yarn shop.
and
for
yarn
us.
shop, yeah. And so they've had a YouTube channel for a while and it's been mostly quilting and sewing kinds of things. And so they started a new knitting podcast. And it was fun to see them talking about what they're knitting and showing. And Peter was saying that he uses Ravelry cues that way too.
Oh, okay.
And he said it's like this funnel that
Yes.
you have the cue and you go back and look at it over and
Yes.
over.
Maybe
and,
every couple weeks, look at the queue and move things up or down or take them off.
right, you take them off.
I had some really old things on my queue that it's like, oh, I like that, but maybe I put it on there 5 years ago. It's like, I'm really not going to make that now.
Yeah.
It's still in my favorites. I can find it if I'm thinking of it at another time.
Yeah.
I really like it that way. That works for me too.
Yeah.
Peter, you and I must have a brain that works similarly.
Yeah. So I think that is a great idea. I'll go back and look at my queue.
Do you keep track of them a different way? Things that you're interested in?
I start them. I get a project bag
You're
out.
so much more optimistic than I am.
If I love it, I usually start it and then I see if it stays on my needle.
That's so funny. I
It
think we
is.
might have mentioned this on another episode when we were talking about this.
Yeah.
I do not like the feeling of like not finishing something. It bothers me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not so optimistic about starting. I really want to make sure I like it and I'm going to finish it.
And
Not that I don't have unfinished objects. I do.
Yeah.
Just not that many.
Not that many. Okay. Yeah. So I'm still thinking about that and what is going to be my next thing.
Okay.
And I do have a queue. I did use a queue for a while, but it felt like a big to-do list with too much pressure.
Oh.
And
okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
like that.
I could see that. Like
Yeah.
for some people that might feel
Yeah. But if I think of it as a narrowing or funneling
yeah.
mechanism to see if I really love it,
yeah, think of it like as a
a
possibilities.
possibility list.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, if you have a really good way that you like to organize this process, please tell us about it. It would be fun to hear just all kinds of different ways that people like to organize things.
Yeah, and kind of prioritizing your
Yeah,
knitting or making goals. I think that is good.
right.
Yeah. All right. So, should we talk about what our finished objects are?
Sure.
I'll let you go first because with Josie, I don't have my own
I
finished
only have
object.
one,
Ooh, okay.
so this will be a short segment.
Okay.
And last time I was talking about knitting during stress. It's still a stressful time as a federal employee.
Yes.
Not gone away, gotten worse. So the only thing I have done is the thing that I was talking about, like when it's stressful, I just want to knit stockinette
In a circle.
in a
or
circle.
round.
So I finished my Musselburgh hat,
That is so cute.
and I really do like it.
I love that.
It's of course the end of March, so I don't really need a super warm hat.
Yeah.
But when I need it next winter, it'll be there for me.
That is
Um,
adorable.
And I also knit this hat not out of our own yarn. So usually we are knitting with our own yarn, not always, because
Yeah.
there are other lovely yarns out there. But I like to go to Verb for Keeping Warm, which I've talked about, which is a natural dye studio and shop in Oakland, California. And it's about 10 minutes from where my son lives. So this is yarn from Verb for Keeping Warm.
Yeah.
And
so pretty.
it's 100% California wool. It's called Nibble, which is so cute because it comes from sheep that are rented out to keep the brush down and reduce the fire risk.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know exactly what breed. It doesn't say on their labeling. It's probably a mix, but it's very soft. It's a fingering weight yarn, and this variegated color is really pretty. I will hold it up.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
The
it was, I think it
speckles.
was their Bay Area Yarn Crawl color last year called Marine Layer. So it's got the blues and the grays with the fog and the water and the orange of the Golden Gate Bridge. Really pretty. So that was a fun project, and it was really just what I needed because I didn't have to think too much about it. So that's my only finished object.
Very pretty.
And you have no finished objects?
I have one, but it's not mine.
Oh.
This is a sample knit.
Oh.
So this is from Megan. And
Megan, one of our very lovely test knitters
yes,
from Bloomington.
from Bloomington.
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh
this
gosh, that is so cute.
is so cool. This is called the Flare Cowl
Oh, it's really pretty.
by Katie Marsh, and Katie owns a yarn store in Zionsville. Cute little yarn
That
store
is
called
so
Village Company
Cute.
Yarns.
And it's called the Flare Cowl.
Yeah, let me take this guy off so it's not as puffy. Oh, wow.
That is
So
really cute. I really
Yeah.
love that little stitch pattern.
I do too. So this is assigned pooling, which is where you assign specific stitches to yarn that to a certain color
To a
in the
color.
yarn.
So when you get
Yeah.
to that color, you do that stitch no matter where you are in the pattern, right?
Right. Except this pattern allows you to have some stripes,
Oh,
which
okay.
I really like.
I do think that's nice also. It really makes it kind of flow together a little more.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I like this because it's like these geometric patterns
Yeah,
and shapes. That is so cute.
that is really cute.
So
So that's a one skein fingering weight
one
cowl.
skein fingering weight cowl, and it works with any planned pooling yarn, intentionally pooling yarn, where about a third of the skein is your accent color.
Right.
And so we've done several of those skeins. I
That
was
is really cute.
thinking
Let's
of it
look
for
at
like the floral, like a
can really see
garden
that.
theme.
Yeah.
And so this one has, it's kind of a greenish gray
Mm-hmm.
and white, and then
And the pink.
the pink, the cochineal.
I've seen stitch patterns like this where the the planned pooling stitch, when you get to the color, is more of a bobble. There's one that somebody has that's a little bit like a leaf.
Yeah.
So there are different
different
patterns like that that are
patterns.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah.
And very organic, because, you know, the pattern is kind of random here, you know, as your cowl's getting a little bit wider, you know,
Uh-huh.
the where the color is doesn't change, but the way the size of your knitted object changes, that changes where the
Where
the colors come
the
in.
color starts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's interesting. We both have done this with the words planned pooling, intentional pooling, and
And
assigned
assigned
pooling.
pooling.
And I think, well, I know assigned pooling is when you're assigning a stitch to the pooled color, whatever.
Color. Okay.
Planned pooling, I think it's when you have dyed the yarn and made the pattern together so that it knits up like a plaid
Okay.
or something
So
like
that might be
where
slightly different.
it's slightly different because you're not changing the stitch for the color,
Okay.
maybe. As a dyer, I think of intentional or planned pooling as something we do, like where you put the color on the yarn.
Right.
If you want it to pool and make a chunk of color there,
Right.
then you put the color on the yarn in a certain way.
Right.
And if you want it to be more random and you
Mhm.
don't want pooling, you do something different.
Right.
And so that's when I get kind of confused about the different labels that the knitting community
Yeah,
uses.
that's true. There probably
Yeah.
is some overlap there, or maybe people are interposing those kind of words.
Yeah, using them
Yes.
differently. So we intentionally wanted some of our yarns to pool so that they could be used in assigned pooling patterns.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is one coming out soon. Hopefully, I need to check again with Katie.
So the pattern's not available yet. So
As of the
as of
recording.
the recording.
But if it's available, we will let you know down below or on
Okay.
the screen. But I love it, and it's so soft.
That is really nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very springy too. I like that.
Yeah. It's kind of like spring kites.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
So that is,
Thank you, Megan.
yes, thank you very much. It is a finished object,
It is a finished object.
but it's not one I did.
But you dyed the yarn.
Yes, I did dye the yarn. And there are lots more colors. I did some last week. We were doing the iris.
Oh, right. We were doing iris. Which
Yeah.
is...
It's at that end.
Oh, gosh. I
Yeah. It's at that end. But it has greens and two different types of purples in
This
it
is iris.
over a gray base.
Yeah, the
Ooh,
green and
yeah.
purple.
So I took these colors and I made some more skeins of assigned pooling that will look like iris, basically, because you'll have purple flowers with a green background.
I think I would like to take one of those myself
Yeah,
and make that cowl.
and make this cowl. And I did some where it's the opposite, where you could have the purple background
Mhm.
and green.
And green.
here.
Yeah. Oh, if you were doing that leaf stitch.
Or the leaf stitch
That would
would
be
be
really
pretty.
pretty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's coming soon too.
Fun.
All right.
So you've been doing a lot of having things on your needles in the midst of raising a puppy.
Yeah.
Does Josie get into the yarn? I hadn't asked you that before. That was a heavy
No.
sigh.
It was a heavy sigh. So far, I haven't been able to do that much knitting with her.
Okay.
I have done some spinning on my electric wheel,
Mm-hmm.
and the sound of it is just enough to keep her to the side where she's
okay.
not getting too close.
Uh-huh.
She'll sit and watch me do
Okay.
this
Okay.
and doesn't try to interfere.
That's good.
But when I start knitting and she sees this Suri,
Uh-huh.
she's like right on it.
What about your wheel for spinning? Does she get into that at all?
She has gone over and smelled it and stepped on the petals,
Okay.
but she hasn't.
And if you're doing,
Well, this week I was doing some speed spinning.
speed spinning.
Yeah, it's not really the most relaxing thing, but I'm on this team called the Feral Fibers for our skein or fleece to shawl. No, what's it called? Sheep to shawl. Sheep to shawl, where you take a fleece and you have to process it and spin it
Right.
by hand
This is for the Greencastle
for
Wool
the
Show.
Greencastle
in
Wool
April.
Show, right?
In Greencastle, Indiana.
And then it's going to be woven at the festival.
Right.
And so at the festival, we will be carding and spinning and plying the weft.
Yes.
But you have to do the warp ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on this team, my first time being on a team like this, and Nellie was so nice to ask me because I'm not really that experienced of a spinner, but here we are. So we had to all do our singles spinning, and I got my yarn, and then I got sick, and then I went to Florida, and then we got the dog, and then I was like, I have to get this done. So I didn't do the wheel, the pedal,
Mhm.
you know, the regular one. I did my electric, and I just put it on high and just went.
In the competition, you can't use the electric, right?
No. In the competition, we will be, for the warp,
Mm-hmm.
the weft, for the weft, we will have our regular spinning wheels.
And you'll be spinning and somebody will be plying.
We'll be carding and
Okay.
spinning, and then I assume it will be Nellie plying and Pam is weaving.
You have a weaver. Okay.
And yesterday Nellie came over and we did dyeing of the warp.
Right.
So I'll be able to show that too. I'll show you a picture. But that was fun. We did some deep purples.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about that because the weft is going to be gray. It'll be a natural color.
So it is a very understandable why you don't have your own finished objects. Because that's a lot.
Oh, it is.
That's a lot. The puppy's a lot. Being sick.
That's true.
So what are you working on? You're working on something down there?
So yes, I am
On the
working on,
needles.
let me put one more stitch in. I am working on the Pressed Flowers Kerchief by Amy Christoffers. And
It's such a fun pattern.
isn't that fun?
You did the shawl also.
Yes, I have
In
the
the past,
shawl.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, in the other room that I have done. And this, I wanted to use some of my hand spun yarn.
Mm-hmm. It
And
looks really nice.
I made the flowers in Suri Silk. And I am not remembering her name, from Brooklyn General Store. She did a post on Instagram where she had done one of these pressed flowers kerchief, but she didn't have as high of contrast for her flowers, and so she didn't like it, and so she picked a higher contrast. And she was talking about that, and I can't remember if it was a story or a reel or something, but when I saw it, I thought, that is the perfect small, quick project.
Right.
I needed a win. You know?
And it's good for hand spun.
And it's beautiful with the hand spun
Yeah.
because of the little
It
subtle
shifts the
striping.
color. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
So I thought I would do that, and I'm almost done with it. And so when I'm done with this, I will be ready to finish the second sleeve on my other sweater that I showed last month, and then start either the 5 o'clock or another kimono.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to do one of those next.
So that's sort of your cue in your head, is that you want to go to another one of those.
Yeah, another one of those sweaters. So how about you? Oh.
Is that it? That's the main thing. Those are the
main
on your
things.
needles. Okay.
Yeah.
I have two things on my needles. None of them are stockinette, so I may need to start another stockinette project of some type, or garter stitch.
Yeah. Something easy.
But I am really liking both of them. And actually one of them is almost today I will get to the stockinette phase of that. I guess
Ooh.
that will be my like
Oh
when
yeah,
I feel
that'll
really
be.
stressed, I'll finish that part of that pattern. So I am doing the garden cardigan.
I love the garden
Which
cardigan.
that is one that has been on my queue for a long time. I've always felt like, oh, I really want to do that someday. And I
Yes.
decided to do it in our flaxen. Let me get this
Kind of a
ready.
linen
It's an
base.
alpaca, linen, and silk, right?
Oh, that is so pretty.
So I really like this orchid color.
I do
think it
too.
looks nice, and
I
it just
love
is
that
soft. It's a little bit
pattern.
drapey. It's not a hard pattern at all, but it isn't stockinette, so you have to like
Pay attention
just
to where you are.
pay, yeah. And then it's because it's a cardigan, you're purling all one row. I really do like similar to the kimono cardigan, it has this split back neck, so it'll lay really nicely over the
Yeah.
shoulders.
I like
So
that a
that
lot.
has been fun, and I am looking forward to finishing it because I think it's one of those things that I'll kind of wear a lot.
Yeah, it looks like you would.
And I don't think I lost any stitches, so that's good. No, I did not. So that is one of the things on my needles.
Love that.
And the other one, we did, I think we put it on one of our past shows about the onion experiment.
Oh, yes, we did. Yeah, and it was
So-
too bright,
was too
and then
bright.
how do you tone it down?
Yes.
And yes.
So I have been doing the Alpine Bloom tea,
Oh, so pretty.
and I only have 2 more rows to go, and I'll be done with the yoke. So that's why I'll be on to I'll separate the sleeves, and then I'll be on to stockinette.
I love
And I am
that.
really happy with how it is turning out. I love the pattern. I was happy with my choice to use the natural for the flowers, so they really pop.
Mhm.
And I like the gold. I think the gold, kind of
This
bronzy
looks
gold,
good.
looks good with me,
Yeah.
my skin. So I am really enjoying that. It is, it's more cognitively stressful. So there are some days when I don't work on this at all. There are some days when I do like 6 or 8 rows. So it's taken me a while to get through the yoke. I've just been trying to ask myself, what do I feel like doing? And when I feel like it, I'll do some, but I'm now almost to the easy part,
Yeah.
the non-thinking about it, what's my pattern part.
Now, what about sleeves? What happens with the sleeves?
It has very short sleeves, so you'll separate, so this yoke pattern comes down
Okay.
like, this far. So basically, I'm done to here.
Okay.
And then there'll be just a small section of stockinette. And then you can either finish with this lace, which if you do that, then you knit these separately and then join them to the sleeve, because this would be like you started from the bottom and you're
Oh,
going up.
I see.
But there are versions, and a lot of people have just done ribbing like you do on the bottom. And I think that is what I'm going to do, just so the sleeve is a little cleaner
Yeah.
and maybe a little bit less busy. I like this lace pattern for the neckline.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
really
I
pretty.
think I'll do just ribbing on the sleeves and on the bottom.
Okay.
That's my plan.
Sounds
So
good. I
that is
like
the
it.
other thing that I've been working on.
Great.
Yeah.
Today we have a special guest who will be joining us just a minute.
We have been talking about sheep to shawl for Michelle, and so we wanted to take this opportunity to introduce someone very near and dear to our hearts,
Yes.
who is an expert in sheep to shawl competitions. This is
Yes.
Ainsley.
Hi.
She is one of our interns slash yarn fairies. What do we call you, Ainsley?
I'm a yarn fairy. I like that. I'll
I'm
go
gonna be
with
a yarn
that.
fairy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, yarn fairy Ainsley, who is a high school student
Uh-huh.
in Carmel, Indiana, and a member of the Conner Prairie spinning team, correct? Is that the
Yes,
right name for it?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And a fiber artist.
A fiber artist.
Yes. I feel
Yes.
so fancy with that.
I know.
Um,
And you've been with us for almost since the
Couple of
beginning.
years, right?
Yeah, a couple
I
of
like,
years.
yeah,
Yeah,
a couple months after you guys started, yeah.
yeah. Oh, it's been
It's been a long time.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
So Ainsley comes usually on the weekend because she's a busy high school student, helps us out. Sometimes comes to festivals and helps us out.
Yep.
And Ainsley, tell us how did you get interested in fiber arts?
My grandma,
Okay.
during COVID, I stayed with my grandparents for about 4 months. And I remember always watching murder mysteries with my grandparents at night, and my grandma would sit there and she would knit. And one day she's like, I'm just gonna show you. No, that was not a great experience because I was hands-on. She's like, sit and watch. But I started off by learning how to knit, and then from there I joined the Conner Prairie spinning team. And
Conner Prairie is a living history museum.
Yes.
That's 5 minutes from the studio.
It's part of the National Smithsonian Institution for history, I guess, and they it's like a historical reenactment place where you can go back into 1836 or learn about animals, the Lenape, or African American history within Indiana.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
they
very
have,
cool place to go.
I remember because we lived in this neighborhood, so we could walk there. And my favorite event every year was they had a like sheep to shawl day, and they would have sheepdog exhibitions, and someone would be weaving. They didn't really do a competition, but they showed all the different parts,
demonstrations.
the demonstrations. So they have all of that. They have a very experienced natural dyer who uses natural dyes that would be something that they would have used in this part of the world in the 1800s. And
We have a heritage breed week where we focus on specifically working with our heritage breeds with in Conner Prairie to do spinning and stuff. So we'll have demonstrations. I think that's coming up within the summer. And then we also, the loom house is always open to pop in and talk about what dyeing looked like.
so there's always a weaver.
1836.
Cool. Cool. And is that where you learned to spin at Conner Prairie?
I did. I learned in the loom house, and then I also learned in the textile studio specifically for the spinners.
Yeah.
And so then when you are a volunteer, because they have kids volunteer because they're recreating a little village, and so people had children, so they need to have children.
Yeah.
So when you become a volunteer as a under 18 person, then if you choose, you can learn spinning and weaving and things like that. Is that right?
That's part of the opportunity you get within the program is to join the spinning team. So we have a lot of new youth joining this year, which is really exciting, and we get to
that's
work
good.
with them and teach them how to spin.
So you're one of
that's
the
fun.
experts now.
I think so. It's kind of funny because it feels like just the other day when I joined the program and I would go home and complain to my mom about how I wasn't allowed to talk at all, and
That might be a little hard for you.
Miss Sue, who is the lady who's in charge of the youth spinning program, she's a wonderful person, and I love getting to know her. But I remember my first memories was coming in, and she would put Phantom of the Opera on repeat on full volume, and so I know most of that soundtrack by heart now. And
That's awesome.
I just developed a love for spinning, and now I do the fairs, and we're going to Greenfield for the Sheep to Shaw.
Yeah, the Green Castle.
Which will be
You're going to be
or Green
competing.
Castle.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Green
two will be
Castle.
competing.
We're
Against each
competing
other.
against each other.
Because
yeah.
there's no high school, category, adult category. It's just everybody. So at the state fair, they have a sheep to shawl competition.
We do.
And you are always in that. as
Yeah.
well.
Yes. So on the last day of the state fair, if anyone wants to come, it's really fun to look
Kind of
at.
fun. It's
Um,
in August every
yep.
year
August.
in Indianapolis. Yeah.
And we sit down and we'll do 2 hours spinning and then break and then 2 hours. So 4 hours total to make a smaller shawl kind of scarf.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
the one that we're doing for the sheep to shawl that Michelle and me are both participating in is a lot bigger, and we don't get a break at all.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, I heard that just yesterday. We don't get a break.
No breaks.
no, 4 hours straight.
Ooh.
4.
Good thing we have some people coming to help man the booth, because Michelle will be spinning her fingers off, and I will be teaching.
3 hours. hours.
I will be teaching a natural
It's
dye
4
class.
hours.
So thank
But-
you, Sarah and Maddie.
But you normally want to pull, have it off of the loom.
Oh, that's right.
So you're not going to
My
spend.
roll will be
Right.
done earlier.
You'll probably be done around the 3-hour mark, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And then you
that's
get to
right.
help spray down, stretch, cut, fringe, all the fun
All
things.
the fun things. Yeah.
So Ainsley, when you do sheep to shawl, do you have a favorite role that you get to do out of all that?
My favorite role, I love plying. I think that's just something that I find very relaxing.
Nice.
Hopefully I'll get into weaving within the next year or maybe 2 years because I still have 2 or 3. I have 3 more years in the program probably, depending on college. So,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard because there's a lot of people who do want to take on the weaving role in competition, and we don't have a lot of teams. So it just really depends on how many new youth we can get in.
Right. And who's there to do the weaving? And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll continue, spinning, and you like to crochet, right?
I like to
As you
knit.
like to knit as
I'm
you
not a
go
very
to
good
college.
crocheter. I definitely will. Hopefully I get enough room in my dorm where I can just bring my spinning wheel because I plan on it.
That will make you a very unique.
Oh yeah,
student.
I'll definitely be an interesting roommate. I think I just have so much love for spinning and weaving, and I think it's hard because it is kind of dying in a sense. So I definitely plan on continuing to do it.
That's awesome. We're so glad
Yeah.
that we found you.
Yes, I know.
I know.
It's so funny to think about how we would have never met.
I know.
Yeah,
how-
yeah, tell
Ainsley's,
'em how you
Ainsley's
get
mom is a chaplain at one of our hospitals, but she came to the church that I go to like fill in because our pastor was out of town. And I'm sure I seemed like the creepiest person. I went up to meet her and say hello, and then somehow she said something about you being at Conner Prairie and spinning, and I was like, oh,
Have we got a deal for
we
you?
got a deal for you. Would you like to come work at a yarn studio? So yeah,
I remember.
I'm glad no one thought I was a creeper.
Oh no, I remember I was so excited. I can just tell I was telling my dad all about it, and as soon as my mom got off in the car, I just was yapping. I was like, oh my gosh, I get to do this, and I'm so excited. And she's like, okay.
It was meant to be, and you don't live too far away, so it all worked out perfectly.
Yeah. You're close to my Diet Coke spot. So I can take you home and get a Diet Coke
Right.
too. Yeah.
Well, we are
So
very
fun.
proud of you.
Thank
We
you.
don't tell you that enough, and it's great that you have learned so much, and that you want to make sure that the fiber arts carry on. So
Yeah.
great
Aw,
job,
so
Ainsley.
thank
exciting.
you. I feel like it's been nice. Like I've grown up with y'all in a sense, and
Yeah.
found the love for something I've done, and I've learned so much. And you guys are like my family, my
I
fiber
know.
family.
Fiber
Aw,
family.
We love that.
Yes.
Thanks for being willing
Yeah,
to
thanks
do
for
this.
being
yes.
on our show.
We all know I talk a lot, so it's okay.
You did a great job.
Don't forget. Yeah,
Don't forget.
And don't forget.
Create, connect, and oh wait, I forgot. Create, connect,
Celebrate nature.
and your community.
That's it.
That's right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Bye.